Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, and that is how I manage my anxiety around flying and not let it ruin my life. I still travel all the time, and though I'm not perfect, I have gotten to a place where I can finally get on an airplane like it's no big deal. And this is a huge feat for me because I spent the last 7 or 8 years being completely terrified of flying. And it's so funny because I was never like that. I flew, like it ain't no thing for like 22 years. And I just had a really, really bad experience one time. And all of a sudden, a switch was flipped in my brain, and I would have recurring nightmares. Anytime I watched a TV show where the people in the characters in the movie were on a plane, I would start to sweat and get really nervous. And, it's just taken some time, and I really wanted to share with you guys some tips on how to manage and deal with it, because I don't want it to get in the way of anybody else's life the way it had for me. And if I can help somebody in any way, that is the entire point of this video. I just want to be able to share with you guys some things that I figured out helped me, and maybe they'll help you. Okay, so the first thing that I did was to talk to people and, have conversations with people like pilots, flight attendants, people who get on airplanes on a daily basis. And for them, it is like the most normal thing in the world. And for me, that helped to just kind of talk to them and learn about their day and, what they do with their job. And I think for me, it helped because I realized how seriously pilots especially take their jobs. And, something about that was just really comforting to ask them some questions and, really ask them like, what do you do in this situation? And, 9 times out of 10, they're like, yeah, that's like not even a big deal. You might think it's a big deal from, back in the cabin, but up front, like we're not nervous about that at all. So I found that really, really helpful. Like I'm in good hands, and pilots are trained, really, really well. And I would also recommend too, if you don't personally know anyone who's either a pilot or a flight attendant, there's a bunch of different YouTube channels that I'll link down below who talk about flying, or even some flight attendants who I really like who have like vlog channels. And you can just see like how normal flying is for them. And it can help normalize it for you to just see people going about their business and getting on airplanes like it ain't no thing. Okay, so my second tip is to be prepared. And I know that's probably really obvious, but for me, that's a couple of things. And the first being, I always fly with my prescription anti-anxiety medication. My doctor recommended that I take it every flight, like 30 minutes before I get on. But to be completely honest with you, I've flown maybe a dozen times this year and I haven't used it at all. I'll use it every once in a while if I'm on a really bumpy flight and I just can't break out of the anxiety in my brain. I'll sometimes use it, but for me, it's more of a security blanket. Just knowing that I have it is very, very helpful. And it's better to have it and not need it than to not have it and basically have a complete meltdown on the airplane and scare other passengers. Because I've been that person and it is not fun. So be prepared, take your medication, maybe, wear really comfortable clothing so that you're not like, fixing and having to fidget yourself. And then also make sure that you're able to eat and get a really good night's sleep. I used to get the recommendation from people that I knew to like not sleep the whole night before, and you'll just sleep on the plane. Or I guess you'll be more likely to sleep on the plane, but I haven't found that to be true. I am able to manage my anxiety so much better if I have a good night's sleep, a full belly, and just, comfortable clothing. It just pays to be prepared for me. And I always do those things so that I know I get on the plane, I'm comfortable, I'm able to just sit back and relax. Which leads me into my next tip, which is to definitely have something to do on the plane. And for me, I have trouble reading and I have trouble like doing games or anything like that. My husband plays his Switch like the entire time we're on an airplane together. But for me, it's just, I need to like be consumed by a movie or something. So I will save movies that I'm like dying to watch so that I'm totally engulfed in the movie and I can't help but just, focus and watch it. And I found that that's really, really helpful for me to just have good movies and always, always, always bring them on your own device, because some airlines and some flights will offer in-flight entertainment, but it's just not reliable enough for me to be able to rely on that every single time. So I'm always careful to bring my own entertainment. Okay, my next tip is a little bit of an odd one, I think. And that is, I like to set a timer. The second we take off, I'll set a timer for usually, whatever the duration of the flight is. Most of the time, a flight attendant or the pilot will come on the PA system and tell you, prior to taking off, like how long they think the flight's going to take. And I'll just put that in my iPad and set a timer so that, if I get really anxious mid-flight, I can say to myself, oh, okay, I'm going to go look at how much time I have left on the flight. And usually it's like, oh, I only have an hour left. I can do this. I've done this, the last 3 hours. It's no big deal. Okay, so if you're flying alone, which I've flown alone a couple of times this year, if you're flying alone, it may be helpful, especially in the beginning of you kind of, breaking this pattern in your head. It might be helpful to just let a flight attendant know that you're sort of a nervous flyer, and if they wouldn't mind just checking in on you a couple of times during the flight. Most of the time, they are more than happy to do that. And not that they're going to give you like any extra treatment, but they might just, come by every hour or so and be like, hey, how's it going? Can I get you anything? And just kind of take a little bit extra care of you, just so that, you feel more comfortable, because really that's their job. Their job is to make sure that you have a very safe and comfortable flight. And most of the time they're more than happy to accommodate that. And I think it just helps to, have somebody else that knows what you're going through, even if they're not going to be able to help you too much. I just found it helpful to be able to tell somebody, and then they'd be like, oh no, it's okay. It's all going to be fine. I'll check in on you. Don't worry. Just something about that and kind of sharing that with other people has been really helpful. Which also leads me into another tip, that if you're going through this, you do not have to go through this alone. I think talking to, your family members, your friends, your loved ones about what you're going through is really, really important, so that they can help you kind of, talk through it a little bit. And keeping it all inside and keeping all your fears inside is not going to be healthy for you. I have found that just talking about it and letting people know has been really, really helpful. And I really recommend doing it. And I know it's very scary, but sometimes that's what you have to do. If at the end of the road, it means that you're able to fly more, comfortably, why not just take the chance and talk to people about it? Okay, so finally, I'm not a huge fan of meditation, just because for myself, I think, especially in a highly, highly stressful situation like flying can be for me sometimes, I'm just not able to really get there. I'm not really able to, hone in and really quiet my mind enough. So what I've done is I will sometimes do these mindfulness techniques where I will visualize what I'm going to do once I get off the plane, how I'm going to feel. I'm going to feel so amazing getting off this plane, and I'm going to be in a new place, and I get to eat this food. I'm going to wear this outfit. I'm going to see this person. I'm going to kiss this cat. And like all of these things that I'm going to do, it helps me just pass the time. And, my brain can be like, okay, everything's going to be fine. These are the amazing things you get to enjoy after you've, succeeded in getting through this flight. And I found it really helpful, more so than like meditation and breathing techniques. I just find it's sort of occupies your mind while still being productive, in that your brain is sort of tricked into thinking that, you're in that situation in the future. So it's pretty cool, and it works well for me. So it might work for you. Okay, that's it for the video, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it and it was helpful maybe for some of you who are also experiencing flight anxiety. Again, it is a completely normal reaction for your brain to have, but don't let it ruin your life. And if you want to go on a trip, go for it. My biggest advice is to just go for it, and you will get through it. Using some tips and, find what works for you. Maybe these things won't work for you, and maybe some of you guys can recommend some things that have worked for you that I might want to try as well. So leave those down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.